Hey guys, it's Mark Grasse, and this is the MegaMad podcast. Today I'm going to be talking about three types of solo podcast. So there's lots of different types of podcasts that involve interviewing or co-hosting, or there's a variety of types of podcasts. The ones that I usually work with are called solo podcasts. So it's really just one person talking most of the time. There's a few awesome advantages of this. Number one, you don't have to book anybody. You can do it anytime you want. You're in control of basically everything that's going to go into the podcast, and you don't have to interact or control the situation with anybody else involved. So that's neat. The hard part is really staying on track with the podcast and trying to keep it interesting, which is why I usually tell people to create an outline and follow the outline as you go. So today I'm going to be talking about three core types of solo podcast, and then the advantages and disadvantages of each. All right, so to start, number one, solo tips. So this would be a podcast where basically you outline SEO phrases, how I usually do it. I came from the internet marketing world, so I would find a keyword phrase that people are looking up often enough where it could be found, and then I target my content based on that. So in this case, it might be types of solo podcast, and then I would outline three solo podcasts, which is exactly what I'm doing here. I just have solo tips, solo story, and solo report. So in your solo tips, you're going to pick some type of topic that's hopefully looked up. Then you're going to outline, the tips. I usually go with 5. I like the number 5 for whatever reason. So you'll always see my articles usually do 5. If it's less than 5, it means that I ran out of time and I'm just putting the number that I ended up with, which could be 1. If you ever see me put the best whatever, it's because I only got to 1 of the 5 and then I stopped. Anyways, come up with the list. That's the easiest way to do it. And then just go through the list and give a description of each one of the items. So that would be a solo tip podcast. And again, the typical outline that I always recommend is an intro, summary of what you're going to talk about, a list that you're going to talk about, then the content itself, and then an outro and a pitch at the end. So that's how you'll see my structure work almost every single time. All right, number 2, solo story. So a solo story podcast is an episode where you're outlining a story. So, look up any story writing article and you're going to find an outline to follow. It's pretty simple. You're just trying to keep people engaged in the storyline. So you have to, just like any good story writing, you're establishing a plot, interesting character, a problem, and a solution. So, if you don't know if you're good at telling stories, then you should probably maybe avoid this topic until you find yourself at a party and you have 20 people around listening to your awesome tale. That might mean that you need to do more solo story podcasts. All right, number 3 is a solo report. So a report is just what it sounds like. You remember in school, you had to do your research, you had to cite your sources, and you had to come up with a compelling argument for whatever you were trying to argue. So in this case, just think of it just like a research report. You're establishing, some type of concept, and then you're going to support it with either historical stats or maybe current stats. I'm sure that the report podcast is popular right now during the coronavirus crisis, just because there's so many data points that you can focus on and so many different sources where you get the information. So in a report, you would, again, establish some type of premise, support it with facts, and then end up with a conclusion that summarizes everything. So there you have it. Those are the 3 types of solo podcasts that you could do. Just like this podcast, this is a solo tip podcast where I listed out things and then I, kind of explained each one. Again, in this part, I'm summarizing, so this is my outro. And there you have it. I hope you tune in for more. I'll be doing a lot of these podcast episodes because I have a lot of clients that are starting their own podcast. I want to give them as much information as possible. If you're wondering how this one was created, you can see I'm just taking a video. So I'll get into some of the technical aspects of improving the podcast through equipment, but really, I always tell people, you just got to start. Just do something. And the easiest thing you could do is grab your phone, record a video with audio, and then turn that into a podcast. So that's what I'm doing here, practicing what I preach. I hope this was enjoyable for you, and look for more of these podcasts in the future.